Yes, I think we're live. I think it worked. We're going to see in a second. So I'm going to give the people a minute to join me, and then we're going to get started. I do need to double check to be sure that this is sharing where I wanted to share. Hey, Nicole, how are you? I think we're good. So we're good on this side over here. And I think we're good on my personal profile as well. Hello, loves. Hey, everybody. Come say hi as you join me. Hello, Natasha. Hello, love. How are you? I have two screens live right now, y'all. So as we move forward, if you see me kind of looking back and forth, I'm still talking to you. All right? Did I share this on the right page? Lord, y'all. We gonna get it together. Hey, 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 everyone. As you come in, come say hi. We're going to get ready to get started in a second, talking about 3 powerful ways to accelerate growth in business and ministry. I'm just trying to share this out and make sure I am, boom. Okay, perfect, perfect, perfect. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. Thank you for joining me. Thank you, thank you, thank you for joining me. Come say hi. For those of you who are here with me, please share this out. There's a little button. It should be like on the bottom left-hand corner of your screen. I don't know what you're watching from. Please, please share this out. I have a word today for you all, for you ladies who are in business, you ladies who are in ministry, and you ladies who are on the journey to becoming who God is calling you to be. And so I really want to talk to you today about how to really accelerate this process, because it is a process, and I want you to understand that it's a process and that your vision is not going to happen overnight. Hey, Linda, how are you? Thank you so much. Hey, Wasim, how are you? So please share this out. If you're here with me, please, please, please share this out. For those of you who are new to me, who don't know who I am, I'm Candace Gray, the Courage Coach. And I work with women of faith and entrepreneurs to conquer feelings of unworthiness and fears that are holding them hostage so they can walk boldly, confidently, and courageously in their purpose, doing the very things that they've always been scared to do, fearlessly and unapologetically. Hey, Fritzy. Hey, 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 y'all. Y'all about to get a happy dance. Yes. Okay, so I kind of want to go ahead and get started. And as people trickle in, we'll just let them come on in. As you come in, please say hi. As you come in, please share this out. If you have women who are connected to you who are in business, if you have women who are connected to you who are in ministry, please share this out. We need to hear this word. We need to understand as we move into this new season of grace, as we move into this new season of new beginnings, we need to understand how to really accelerate where we're going. And there's things that we can do to accelerate that. Hey, Stephanie, how are you? Oh, it gives me like a little green thing when you guys are on live. That's so cool. Y'all, this is what happens when you update your app, things that you ain't never saw before, now you see. Okay, so let's get into it. Okay, 3 powerful ways to accelerate growth in business and ministry. All right, and so what I wanted to do is I really wanted to take some snippets from the Becoming Her Mastermind. The mastermind is going to be starting in January, and we'll talk a bit more about that on Thursday after the Bible study that I'm doing, which we'll talk about at the end of this video, okay? Because Becoming Her has a few components that God really wants women to understand so that they can move gracefully through this journey. Linda, you're right, it doesn't happen overnight. Stephanie, I love it too, Stephanie. All right, so there's a couple of things that I really wanted to talk to you about tonight, and there's 3 points that I want you to get. So if you're here with me, grab a pen and paper, because you're going to need it, all right? Get your pen and paper. I don't know if you're taking notes on your phone, whatever the case may be. Be sure that you are getting this, okay? Because there's 3 points that I want to make. Number 1, I really want to talk about foundation. Number 2, we're talking about the block. And number 3 is the process, okay? Let me go ahead and pull this out, y'all. So, number 1, when we're talking about the foundation, it's imperative that we have a foundation spiritually. It's imperative that our relationship with God is on point. You know, when we're talking about relationships, we're talking about the connection between you and another person, you and another entity. Whether this is the relationship with you and your husband, the relationship with you and God, the relationship with you and your child, ding nabbit, the relationship with you and your dog. Like, when we're talking about a relationship, it's the connection between two different people or two entities. If I'm talking about the relationship with you and your dog, man's or woman's best friend, okay? So this is where the foundation comes in at. And the number one thing that I think is really, really important for you to really accelerate this growth in your business and ministry is embracing honesty with yourself and with God. And now, I don't want to take y'all as deep as I really want to go with this, especially because I want to be mindful of the time. Hey, Pastor. Hey, Tina. How are you? But this is number one. This is key. We've got to be able to embrace honesty when it comes to our relationship with God and who we are in God and what we feel about ourselves and what we feel about God, quite frankly. Because at the end of the day, we have to ask ourselves, how do we feel about God? God, how do I feel about you? This is where we can have an honest conversation and be like, God, there's some things that we really need to kind of clear up. And this is when we're talking about relationship, we're talking about having a conversation. This is a dialogue. This isn't a monologue. This isn't, God, let me just yell at you everything that is going on in my life and you're going to be a genie and come down and fix it. No. This is about really finding yourself in a meditation, finding yourself in a mode of prayer, and really opening your heart up to God, communicating your honest feelings, and getting in His Word to hear what He's saying back to you. This is a conversation, okay? So it's important for you to say, God, I need to be honest with you on some things that I've been feeling when it comes to myself and when it comes to you. And this can really either accelerate our growth or damage the journey if we do this or if we do not do this. Because so many of us I have found, and so many women that I have spoken with have these unspoken resentments. And what I find is that these unspoken resentments are not necessarily towards somebody else. These unspoken resentments are towards God. There's so many women who I've had conversations with, and if I'm being honest with you, I've had those moments where I had resentments towards God. I was mad at God. You know, God, I'm mad at you. You know, I was praying for the health of my family member. You know, one of my family members was on their deathbed, and they had cancer, and God, we were praying, and we were faithful, and we were fasting, and we did everything that we thought that we were supposed to do, and you took them. God, I thought you were a faithful God. God, I thought you were a healer. God, I thought you were Jehovah Rapha. What happened? And because of that, we now hold this resentment. We now hold this bitterness in our hearts. But it's not towards a person. It's towards the very one that created us. It's towards God. We're upset with God because He didn't do what we thought He was supposed to do. We thought we were supposed to marry someone and that relationship fell through. That person broke our hearts. We got divorced. We thought we were in this forever. We thought we were in this together forever. We have been together 35 years and all of a sudden here we're now at divorce. God, what happened? And I find myself mad at God because of the things that happened in my life. How many of you have felt like that? Not that you were mad at another person, but you were mad at God because He allowed things to happen. There have been people who, in this, I don't want to go super morbid on this, but there have been people who have lost limbs, lost legs, lost arms. And instead of finding the gift in life itself, they have this bitterness and this anger towards God because God allowed them to lose something. God allowed something to happen to them. And so these are the real, honest, raw conversations that we have to have with God. If we're going to move forward in business, if we're going to move forward in ministry, we have to be honest with ourselves and we have to be honest with the one who created us, how we're feeling and what are our thoughts. It's not like He doesn't know anyway. God knows what you're thinking. He knows. But He's waiting on you to approach Him to say, God, I need to pour my heart out to you. I got some issues that I really need to clear out of my heart. And God, I really just want to be honest with you. But I'm angry at you, God. I'm angry for you allowing my family member to pass away. I'm angry at you for allowing my child to pass away. God, I'm angry at you for not letting me know that you were there in that moment. I felt like you were gone. I felt like you left me. God, I'm angry at you. We've got to be honest with him. That is the first step, because when we can muster up the courage in our hearts to say, God, I'm angry at you, this is when the healing process can begin. This is where God can begin to show us how to move forward, how to really get out of that rut, how to stop believing the lies of the enemy and blaming other people for things and blaming God for things. God will show us how to start letting go so that we can move forward in powers, so that we can move forward in purpose, so that we can move forward in victory from our victory people here. We have got to get real with God and say, God, this is how I'm feeling towards you. How can I move past this? God, I don't want to live a lifestyle of sin and being angry and bitter at you. And then we've got to be honest with ourselves. How are we feeling about ourselves? What are some things that we need to really move through on ourselves? What are some feelings that have been harboring on the inside of us that has stopped us from being great? You have got to have an honest conversation with God. You have got to have an honest conversation with yourself if you really want to accelerate your growth in business and in ministry. Because I'm going to tell you this. God is going to use that moment. God is going to use that moment that you were 100 with him, the moment that you were raw and real with him, as your testimony in business and in ministry. God is going to use that as your platform to draw the masses. You know, God said, I will make you fishers of men. But you have to have the tools and you have to have the heart. You have to have the desire to say, first of all, I want to go to the lake to get some fish. You got to get your fishing pole. You got to get your little, the bait. You have to have everything in order for you to be able to fish. You have to prepare yourself. This is the preparation process. This is the foundation. This is where I say, God, I'm coming to you with my heart open and exposed to you. God, fix me. God, help me. Clear out those things in me that is messing me up, that is keeping me from moving forward in my destiny. This is number one. This is how we solidify that foundation so that we can really, really take hold of and embrace the testimony that God is trying to give us, the story that God is wanting us to tell other people. But we don't have a story if we're sitting in bitterness and we're sitting in anger towards God. It's time for you to say, God, let me be real with myself and let me be real with you. Because until I can do that, I will not go anywhere in ministry and I will not go anywhere in business, because it will not be true and it will not be authentic. Okay? So number one, this foundation, you've got to embrace your honesty with yourself and with God. All right? So let's move on to number two. If you're here with me, say hi. If you're here with me, share this out. Share. If you're on the replay, share this out. If you're live, share it, because I want women to get this message. There's too many women out here who are not living in greatness, who are not being great, because we have so much on the inside of us that we just refuse to let out. All right? Okay, so number two, recognizing the voice of the enemy. This is where we're talking about the blocks. What is blocking you from being great? What is blocking you from moving forward successfully in business, moving forward successfully in ministry? And it's really about recognizing the voice of the enemy. And when I say the voice of the enemy, Satan, the enemy, comes to steal, kill, and destroy. His goal is to abort your purpose, the very thing that God has placed you on this earth here for. And so what I want you to understand is that the enemy can't hurt you physically. I mean, he's not going to sit up here and just manifest into a physical being and come punch me in my face. That's not going to happen. That's not how he works. What he does is he learns to infiltrate your mind. The things that you are thinking, the things that you are feeling. And so you've got to become aware of the negative thoughts and the limiting beliefs that start arising for you, okay? What is your self-talk? What are you telling yourself? And how can you differentiate the voice of God and the voice of the enemy? You know, if God says that I'm fearfully and wonderfully made, then anything that rises up against that is not the word of God. It's the word of the enemy. And so anything that tells me I am nothing, anything that tells me that I'm worthless, anything that tells me I will never be anyone, no one will ever listen to me, I have nothing to offer, is not the voice of God. Anything that tells me I can't do it is not the voice of God. Because if I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, anything that says that I can't do it rises itself up against God, the word of God. Okay? And so we've got to be aware of what these limiting beliefs are. We have to be aware of what these negative thoughts are. We have to really, really pay attention to when they're starting to come up. What are the situations that they're starting to come up in? Like, what are you doing when these negative thoughts and feelings start to arise? Like, what are you doing? Like, where are you at? Like, are you with, your family members? Are you with your husband? Every conversation that you have with your husband, are you feeling, starting to feel sad? Are you feeling like he doesn't love me, like I'm not beautiful? You have to start recognizing when these thoughts start coming up. When you have business opportunities or ministry opportunities and that voice comes and tells you that ain't for you, you can't do that. You'll never be able to do that. No one's going to listen to you. This is where you want to catch it in the moment, okay? Understand what these thoughts are. Are they recurring? Are these thoughts that you've had year after year after year, and they only surface in certain situations? Every time you try to be great, boom, something comes and tells you you can't do that. And then you listen to that voice and you back off. Instead of moving through the fear, moving into courage and grabbing hold of your blessings, you cower in a corner because of what the enemy is telling you in your mind. When are we going to believe the word of God versus the word of the enemy? When something happens, have you ever something's happened to you? I can give you a gajillion different examples, but there's been times where I wouldn't call them necessarily altercations, but there's been times where something has happened in my life that wasn't great. Maybe it was a conversation that wasn't a great conversation, or somebody said something to me. And hours later, I'm replaying the conversation in my head. And I realize I've been replaying this conversation since it happened, over and over and over. And the more that I replayed the conversation, the worse I started to feel. It would get to the point where by the end of that night, I'm low-key in a depression, not a hardcore depression or nothing, but I'm low-key in a depression off of something that happened earlier. And so we really got to be aware of these scripts that we're playing in our head over and over and over. When someone hurts our feelings, we hear what that person said over and over and over. At what point do we turn that off and say, I don't want to hear this anymore? These are the negative thoughts that the enemy wants to continuously remind you of. When you are moving forward professionally or in ministry and you're trying to step out of your comfort zone, which is actually my next point, when we're trying to move forward and do things, when we mess up or when something happens that didn't go the way that we hoped and or planned, now we start playing in our mind everything that went wrong over and over and over. And we discount everything that went right. Jocelyn, I was just about to begin a pity party. Ain't no pity parties this way, honey. We cannot fall into that. And it's so easy to fall into a pity party. Oh my gosh, it's so easy to fall into a pity party. But we have got to take up our strength and say, no, I don't want to go down that route. Who wants to feel sad all day long? Who wants to be depressed all day long? Who wants to feel worthless all day long? Oh my gosh, I can't. After a few hours, I'm I don't even want to feel like this anymore. This is draining. I feel awful. I don't want to do anything. I don't want to talk to anyone. You got the rest of your day. You done jacked up the rest of your day because we're choosing to hold on to these negative thoughts and these negative feelings. It is a choice. It is a choice to say, I refuse to sit in this. I refuse to listen to the voice of the enemy who is telling me everything that I'm not. I am not unworthy. I am not ugly. You have to take up your bed and walk, baby. You have to say, no, wait, no, let me grab my blanket and no. You cannot allow these feelings and these thoughts to fester in your minds, because when we sit in these feelings, when we sit in these thoughts, and the enemy is so aware of this, and what happens is when we're not aware of this, we fall victim to it, and we wonder why our lives is going in this unproductive cycle of sabotage. We sit in these negative feelings and these limiting beliefs in a pity party I can't do it and woe is me and no one's gonna love me, all dramatic. And then next thing we know, we're sabotaging ourselves. Now we got a bucket of ice cream feeding our face. Now we out there smoking 112 cigarettes. Now we done drank the whole carton of beer. All because we're upset at something that happened yesterday. Like, for real? And when we continue to do this, now we're picking up habits. And when we're picking up habits, now we're destroying our bodies. In addition to our mind, do you see the process? Do you understand how the enemy can come and infiltrate your mind? And next thing you know, you 150 million pounds heavier because you done ate about 1,000 gallons of ice cream because you was upset. When are we going to believe the word of God? And when are we going to stop accepting the word of the enemy? When are we going to make a choice in our moments to say, no, I will not sit in a pity party. I will find the peace of God. I will go get the word of God to find out what God says about me in this moment. Because I don't want to feel like this the rest of the night. I don't. I had a great night planned, and I don't want to be salty in this negative energy and these emotions the rest of the night. That's what the enemy wants. Because if he can get us stuck in that space, how productive are we going to be? Please tell me. Please tell me, how productive are you going to be when you're sitting in a negative energy space with all these feelings and all these emotions and all these thoughts running around all over you? You ain't got no peace. And the enemy understands that. You have to choose to pursue peace. Because peace can be elusive sometimes, baby. Life can come smack you face to the ground. And peace can become very elusive. You have to pursue peace. So number one, you have to have the foundation of embracing the honesty with yourself and God. You got to get honest. You got to lay it all on the table and be like, Lord, this is how I feel. Fix me. Fix me, fix me. Fix me, Jesus. Number two is the block. What is that block? And so you have to be able to recognize the voice of the enemy, these negative thoughts and these limiting beliefs. And you really want to be sure that you're taking note of when these thoughts are coming up for you. When are they coming up? What situations are they coming up in? How often are they coming up in? Where are you at when they're coming up? Who are you around when they're coming up? Because this is going to tell you a lot about what you need to shift in your life, who you need to not be around, what situations you need to stay away from when these feelings start to come up, okay? And then lastly, the process. The process. Once we can have an honest conversation with God and really dig internally and say, God, this is how I'm feeling. These are the things that I'm struggling with. When we can now be aware of how the enemy is going to try and come and attack us, now we have to move through the process. And this is really about that transition from the comfort zone to the faith zone. Comfort zone to the faith zone. This is where the action takes place. This is where the action takes place. You know, we've got to now say, God, I trust you. God, we done had this conversation. You done showed me how the enemy was going to come for me. Now I got to move forward in my destiny and my purpose. Now I have to do. I have to do the scary things, the things that, you know, you're calling me to do, but I'm terrified to do. God ain't going to call you to nothing easy. Ever. God is never going to call you to anything easy. Why? Why would God need to get glory from something that was super simple that you could do? He doesn't. He's always going to call you to do something in business and in ministry that is beyond what you maybe even think you can do. Because he wants the glory. He wants to be able to use you. He wants people to be drawn to him through you. It's not about you. It's not about you. It's about you saying, you know what? I'm terrified as I'll get out, but I'm going to muster up whatever kind of courage I can on the inside of me and say yes to you, Lord. Whatever it is that you need me to do, God, I say yes. Because at the end of the day, any path that you have for me is going to be greater than a path that I can create on my own. I can't do this by myself. And so when we talk about that vision that God has given us, we're never going to get to that vision if we don't do. You're not going to just think a vision. You're not just going to think it and poof, it's there. No, it starts with the thought. It starts with the intention, but it always ends with the action. Your vision starts with intention, but always ends with action. And so you've got to be able to say, I want to get out of my comfort zone and step out on faith. Baby, if you got to close your eyes and take that step, then close your eyes and take that step. Because at the end of the day, when you take that step, God's hand is right here. When you step out, boom. You're stepping into the hand of God. He's got you covered. But you are never going to become the woman that God is calling you to be if you don't do. You have to take action. Faith without works is dead. I can have all the faith in the world. Honey, I can quote all the scriptures in the world. I can put my little shawl on and call it my mantle and speak in tongues and pray around. And all that's wonderful. But at the end of the day, you're not going to reach in business. You're not going to reach your $1 million mark if you don't get out there and have a strategy to reach the people. You're not just going to pray your way to $1 million and ain't got to do anything. You have to do. And 9 times out of 10, what God is asking you to do is terrifying. It's terrifying. God is asking me to do some very scary things. And I'm like, Lord, what? Really? Oh, like, okay. And the enemy always comes when God is asking you to do this stuff. And that's the thing, is I want to expose him. I want you to be prepared for him, because as we move forward into 2018, we're moving into a new year where 8 is the number of new beginnings, okay? 8 is a number of new beginnings. And I feel such a major spiritual shift that has already taken place before we even walk into 2018. And so we've got to be able to really assess where we are right now and where we want to be next year. But this process starts now. And so it's really about you saying, who do I want to be? What is my process? I'm becoming her. And in becoming her, I've got to start internally. And that's what becoming her is about. Becoming her is really about the internal process, number one, of what do I need to clear out of my heart, out of my mind, so that God can now fill me with something brand new. If we be in Christ, we be a new creature. Old things are passed away, all things become new. But we've got to allow God to pour that newness into us. We've got to allow God to mend the places in us that were broken. Otherwise, when we move into 2018 and he's about to pour his blessings out onto us, there's going to be some holes and some seams that are busted, and we're going to leak the blessings of God. We're not going to be able to maintain and sustain the blessings of God because we didn't get in position to receive, because we were terrified, because we were living in fear, because we continuously allowed these limiting beliefs and thoughts to really minimize the purpose that God is calling us to. And so becoming her is really about embracing the journey. It's not about the destination. It's about really getting that vision in your mind, but saying, how do I become her? How do I get all the dirt out of me so that God can cleanse me and I can become a new creature and evolve into who he's calling me to be? Who is she? She is beautiful. She is fearfully and wonderfully made. She is bold. She is confident. She is courageous. She is a queen. But you've got to start acting like it. You've got to understand that you're already her. She's already on the inside of you, but you have to develop her. And that starts with the internal work. And that internal work can be a bit heavy. It can be a bit heavy, I admit. But when you're able to really release that, when you're really able to give that burden to God and leave it with him, you're able to sit in his peace and sit in his rest. God told me that 2018 would be the year of celebration and rest. Really celebrating those things that, how far we have come. Really being able to look back and be like, wow, I've grown so much. And really being able to rest from the things that have bogged us down, rest from the weight of the world. God wants to give you so much, but you've got to get in position to receive. And so I really wanted to create Becoming Her to help you embrace this process and really pay attention to who you are every single day, every single week, so that you can see that growth. This is about transformation over time. And when I say over time, trust and believe by the end of tomorrow night, you can have transformed into somebody totally different. The events of one day can change your life. And I want you to understand that. And this is what is going to happen in Becoming Her. As we start really moving through the internal processes, we're going to start taking big, bold, scary steps with God in our relationships, in our businesses, in our ministries, internally. Big, bold, scary steps. And as you take those steps, that sense of accomplishment is going to skyrocket. Your confidence is going to skyrocket. Your courage is going to skyrocket, especially when you have a group of women who are supporting you and who are doing it with you. Hey, Jaleesa. Hey, boo. How are you? So that's what Becoming Her is about. So I want to invite you Thursday. So this is what's going to happen. On Tuesdays, the interview series is starting in October. So starting in October, I'm going to be interviewing women of God who, to our standards, we deem them successful because they're 6- and 7-figure business owners. But these women have overcome personal challenges. These women have overcome tragedies. These women have a story to tell. And you're going to be hearing their stories of how they made it to where they are today, how they became successful. You're going to hear the stories of tragedy and triumph, of pain and purpose. Because I want you to understand that they didn't just wake up with a silver spoon in their mouths, completely successful. There was a process that they had to go through. There were sacrifices that they had to make. There was pain along the way in their journey. And so you're going to be able to really glean wisdom from these women, starting in October on Tuesday, the interview series, the Becoming Her interview series, okay? And we're going to do that. We're going to go until December for the interview series on Tuesday. And then on Thursdays, we're going to be going into a Bible study. So when it comes to this Bible study, God was really impressing upon my heart to add this Bible study to the Becoming Her process. Now, for me, this was supposed to just originally be like my personal Bible study, where I really wanted to find out how God operated in the lives of the people that we hear about in the Bible when it comes to overcoming fears, when it comes to being courageous, when it comes to being bold. How did God move in their lives, and what were the rewards for obedience, and what was the consequences for disobedience? So for me, it kind of started as this like personal Bible study that I wanted to do. And God's like, no, I want you to tell them what I show you. So I'm like, okay, Lord, I ain't never done that before. Like, I ain't never just been online, like, giving a full-fledged Bible study and we going through. Well, this is my obedience. So, on Thursdays, you can join me here for Bible study. And basically, we're going to go through several stories or scriptures or whatever it is for that week. And I'm going to share with you what God has placed on my heart within that story and how we can really apply it to our lives today. And so, this Thursday, we're talking about Jonah. Y'all, I've been reading the story of Jonah, and I've been meditating on it all week, and I'm like, I can't wait till Thursday, because I got some things to show y'all about obedience and disobedience and the sovereignty of God. Oh my goodness, there's so much in that book. Hey Lydia, how are you? Okay, so the Becoming Her interview series starts in October. We're going to go until December with 6- and 7-figure business owners who we deem successful but have overcome a lot just to get to where they are. Thursdays, we're going to have Bible studies. And then the Becoming Her workbook and journal. Y'all, I'm so excited about this. This is going to be coming out in December this year, 2017, of course. And this workbook and journal is really going to take you through the process of really evaluating who you are and who you want to become and how you can become her. And it's going to take you through a few different areas. It's going to take you through your relationship with God. It's going to take you through your family relationships, personal development, and then how you can move forward in business. And so this journal is going to boast of, what do I have in there? I'm going to take you through the behind the scenes process over the next few weeks as I'm creating the content and designing it. And so of course you'll have journal prompts, you'll have thought-provoking questions, you're going to have places maybe where you can even do artwork. I'm still working on a couple of the things that I want to put in there. There's definitely going to be some content in there, messages from me. There's going to be prayers and scriptures in there as well. I'm so excited about this workbook and journal. Oh my goodness. And so like I said, stay tuned because I'm going to be showing you the behind the scenes process of the content development and the designing as we move forward. And I want to be sure that these workbooks and journals are available before Christmas. You know, maybe you want to give someone else a workbook and a journal, a woman in ministry or a woman in business who you know is trying to get to that next level. Or maybe that's you. Maybe you are trying to get to that next level, but you have some blocks that you really need to get past. And maybe you need to dig a bit deeper to figure out, God, where are you taking me? God, what are you doing? God, what are you calling me to? And how can I become her? Because there's some things that are really keeping me from moving forward. And there's some things that I'm terrified of, God. How can I become the woman that you're calling me to be? So this is what the workbook and journal is really going to take you through the process of doing. And then lastly, the Becoming Her Vision Board Party in Cincinnati, Ohio, January 13th. Y'all, this is not just an art class, but this is an empowerment event where you can start 2018 off right, on the right foot, really writing the vision and making it plain. And this is really about having a physical, tangible representation of what you want your year to look like, and having expectation of what God is going to do. But you have to know who you want to become. You have to be able to look in the mirror and say, this is who I am right now. These are parts of me that I love, parts of me that I would like to shift and change. You can do it. You have the control over your destiny. So let's shift and change. That's what the vision board party is about. It's really about seeing her so that you can be her. And we can write the vision and make it plain. Now we can move forward and take steps day in and day out to start becoming this woman, okay? So you can go to bit.do/becomingher to find more about the interview series, to learn more about the vision board party, to learn more about the workbook and journal, and to learn more about the mastermind. And so we're talking about the mastermind on Thursday after the Bible study. Y'all, I'm trying to tell you, you don't want to miss this. This is a powerful series of Becoming Her. Please share this out. Please share this out. It takes 2 seconds to hit that little share button, because women need to hear this. Too many women are stuck in fear. Too many women are stuck in these feelings of unworthiness, like they're not worth something when they're queens. Oh my gosh, you're sitting on the throne and you don't even know it. I need you to understand that you're fearfully and wonderfully made, and God is about to take you into a season where He is about to blow your mind. But you have to believe that He can do it. Sometimes it's not even always about just believing in ourselves. Sometimes it's about, God, I believe in you. Let me start there. Let me start there. If I can trust God and believe God, I'll get to the part where I believe in myself. But Becoming Her is about trusting God and believing in yourself. It's about really noticing your wins every single day, week to week to week, month to month to month, and realizing like, oh my gosh, I am not the same person I was 2 weeks ago. Who wants to transform their lives? That's my question to you. Do you want to transform your life? Or do you want to be in the same spot you are right now next year? At the end of 2018, are you still sitting in the same spot? That's my question to you. If you go through this whole next year and you're in the same place, you cannot get mad at anyone but yourself. And at the end of the day, you got to ask yourself, if I'm in the same place next year that I am today, what is that saying about my life? What is that saying about, what I believe in myself? For those of you who have kids, what is that saying to your children? You want to tell your children and yell to your children all day, yeah, follow your dreams. You can do anything. But you're not following your dream. You don't believe that you can do anything. You're not doing what God is calling you to do. How are you going to be an example to them? So what's going to happen is, because kids don't do what you say, they do what you do, they're not going to follow their dreams because you didn't follow yours. You were not in a position to model for them what it looks like to overcome and conquer your fears. God said, I have not given you the spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and a sound mind. That means you've got to walk that out daily. That power that you have on the inside of you, you've got to walk that out daily. Hey, Laura, how are you? Your children are watching you. And so when we can model for them what courage looks like, when we can model for them what confidence looks like, you're going to start seeing them walk in courage. You're going to start seeing them walk in confidence. When things happen at school, guess what? They're going to stand up for themselves. And they're going to be bold. Because mommy was bold. This is your opportunity to be the woman that you want to be. If you don't know who she is, visualize her. This is the opportunity to see, who do I want to become, and create her. What a great opportunity to create the woman that you want to be. Hit that reset button and start fresh. Now is your opportunity. Because I will tell you this, God told me this at the beginning of last year. I want my women to be in position, because when I start opening the floodgates of heaven, pouring out blessings, they are going to miss it if they are not in position. We can't blame anyone else if we miss the very thing that God is calling us to do because we weren't ready. Tough week this week with news we weren't expecting. Totally needed this. I'm so glad that this can bless you, love. Please share this as well. Please share this as well, and understand that things that happen to us, it didn't take God by surprise. God wasn't surprised that what happened to you happened to you. When we get bad news, for me, I feel like sometimes the worst thing that we can encounter is loss. And a lot of times it's the loss of a person that's close to us. This did not take God by surprise. God has already gone before us. God is already in tomorrow. He's already in next month, next year. He knows what's going to happen. But my thing is, I want you to understand that if God's grace is sufficient for you, if God's grace is sufficient for you, you'll make it through. You will make it through. Think of everything that has happened to you up until this point. Those moments where you feel like you weren't going to be able to make it. Those moments where you didn't even want your life to continue. Those moments where all you felt was pain. Your heart was riddled with grief. In those moments, God was there. Whether you felt him or not, whether you knew it or not, he was there. And this is how I know God's grace is sufficient for you. It's because you still have life in this very moment. You have not taken yourself out. You haven't counted yourself out, and you haven't counted God out. That's how I know that God's grace is sufficient, because you made it. You have got to acknowledge your strength. You have got to acknowledge that gift in yourself. You made it. Because I will say, 2 people that I know personally did not make it to this week. 2 people that I know personally ended their lives last week. You made it. God's grace is sufficient for you. So it doesn't matter what you're dealing with, what you're going through. God's peace will overtake you. God's comfort will surround you. But you have to allow it to. And you have to know that every single thing has purpose. Even the traumatic things, even the bad things that happen to us. We don't like to hear that. We don't like to hear someone's death had purpose. But this is one thing that God showed me a couple of years ago, because I was struggling with dealing with death. Like, I wouldn't even want to talk about it, because for me, it was just that crippling. And God had to show me that when someone dies, when someone close to us passes away, think of how our lives shift because of that death. You know, when someone close to you passes away, now you start to look at life a bit differently. Now you start to cherish your relationships a bit more. Something that would not have happened maybe had this person not passed away. And so their death was not in vain. It was not in vain. Their death helps you shift the trajectory of your life. We don't like to talk about that, because we're so caught up in the pain. We're so caught up in the loss of not having this person. But we have the ability to say, you know what? Let me take what I got from your absence in my life and shift my life and cherish my life a bit differently. Understanding that your spirit still rests in my heart. And so I want you to understand, and I don't know how I got on that, but I want you to understand that everything that happens to us has purpose. Even the negative things, even the bad things. And when we can understand that, and when we can embrace that on our process, when we can say today was an awful day, when we can get the lesson and when we can get the gift from that, and when we can make tomorrow better, that's where the growth comes in. That's where the transformation comes in. That's where the blessings come in. Because we were able to acknowledge that God is almighty and that God keeps us no matter what happens. So ladies, I want you to join me on this process of becoming her. This is about me. This is about you. Linking arms as queen, saying, I will accept the call to be greater. I will move forward into who God is calling me to be, no matter what it is, no matter how scary it is. Someone needs to hear my story. Someone needs to hear your story. Because they're going through the same thing. And if they don't hear your story, they may die in what they're going through because you didn't live. It's time for you to live. It's time for you to step up. Hey, Sharima, it's time for you to stand up and say no more. No more fear. No more unworthiness, but I will press forward in grace, in prosperity, in abundance, in boldness, in confidence, in courage. So ladies, I love you so, so much. This went a bit longer than I really wanted it to, but that's okay. That's okay. If you're still here with me, please share this out. If you're on the live, if you're on the replay, please share this out, because I want women to be encouraged. I want you to understand that there is a process to accelerate growth in business and ministry. Number 1, the foundation is embracing honesty with yourself and God. Keeping it 100 with the one who created you. Number 2 is, what are your blocks? Recognizing the voice of the enemy, those negative thoughts and limiting beliefs. And then number 3, the process which is transitioning from your comfort zone to the faith zone. This is where action takes place. This is where you have to do, okay? So ladies, join me at bit.do/becomingher. Meet me here every Tuesday and every Thursday. Tuesdays for the interview series, Thursdays for Bible study. We have the workbook and journal coming out in December. Super excited about that. And we have the Vision Board Party January 13th in Cincinnati, Ohio. And then Thursday, I'm going to be talking a bit more about the mastermind workshops, okay? So loves, I'm about to hop off of here. I love y'all so much. Thank you for joining me. If you have any questions, if you want to, learn how you can work with me more to really start your process of becoming her, you don't have to wait till January. Get in my inbox right now. We can have a conversation about how to make your vision happen sooner than later. All right, ladies. So that's it for today. I love y'all. I'm getting ready to hop off here. I think that's it because my voice is almost gone. Mwah, mwah. Candace Gray, the Courage Coach, signing off.